In the bustling city of Lagos lived a lady named Sophia, the eldest child of her parents. She carried her family's responsibility on her shoulders, catering for her poor parents and siblings. Sophia was the only child of her parents that attended university. Her parents wanted to train her to the level she could get a decent job and take care of the family. Sophia relocated from the village to Lagos for greener pastures after she was done with her schooling. She worked as a receptionist in a surveying company recommended by a friend of hers. As a receptionist, her daily duties were spent answering calls, scheduling appointments, and managing the front desk. Despite her small salary, Sophia was the sole breadwinner of her family. Her parents struggled to make ends meet, and her siblings depended on her for support. Every month, Sophia would dutifully set aside a portion of her earnings to send back home, knowing that it was her duty to help her loved ones in any way she could and remove some burdens off her parents. Sophia remained steadfast in her pursuit of a better life for herself and her family despite the odds stacked against her. She refused to let the circumstances define her. She dreamt of a brighter future where her family would no longer have to worry about where their next meal would come from and where she could pursue her own passion and aspiration. Sophia was undeniably one of the most striking women in her office, often drawing admiration from colleagues. Despite her personal struggles, she maintained a flawless appearance, adhering to the belief that presentation is key to success. With a firm belief in the adage, fake it to make it, Sophia understood the power of projecting confidence and elegance, knowing that it could attract opportunities and connections with wealthy and influential individuals. Despite her modest income, Sophia possessed a knack for finding stylish yet affordable clothing, always managing to look polished and put together. Her wardrobe was a careful collection of okrika, each chosen to convey an image of sophistication and class. To her co-workers, Sophia seemed to effortlessly embody a lifestyle of luxury and refinement, masking any hint of her humble background. Despite the challenges she faced at home, she never burdened her colleagues with her personal struggles. She carried herself with grace and dignity, refusing to let her circumstances define her. The only exception was her best friend, Deborah, whom she trusted and confided in without hesitation. At the office, a memo was passed that the manager would be having a housewarming party and all the staffs are invited. Excitement burst through the office as the news circulated amongst the staff. For Sophia, this was the opportunity she had eagerly been waiting for all her life. She had always dreamt of attending glamorous events like this, rubbing shoulders with the city elites, and perhaps even meeting someone who could change her life. Being so overly excited, Sophia set about preparing for the party. She knew that to make a good impression, she needed to look her absolute best. However, with her limited budget, affording a new dress seemed out of reach. She had to turn to her friend Deborah for help, borrowing money to purchase a stunning outfit that would surely turn heads. But Sophia didn't stop there. She knew that to truly stand out, she needed to exude confidence from head to toe. She borrowed her friend's bone straight wig, adding to her extra glam. She admired herself in the mirror, anticipating for that particular day to come. Tomorrow's night was her chance to shine, and she was determined to make the most out of it. When the day finally arrived, she began to have mixed feelings of excitement and fear. With her dress hugging her cuffs and her sleek wig flowing down her shoulders, she stepped out that night, ready to seize the opportunity that awaited her. As she approached the house, she was marveled by the luxurious mansion that she saw. She admired the house and was wishing it was hers. The cars trooping in and others parked outside was so beautiful to behold. As she entered the manager's lavish home, Sophia was immediately swept up in the whirlwind of music and laughter. The air was alive with the buzz of conversations as guests mingled and danced. But amidst the glitz and glamour, Sophia kept her smile peeled for one person in particular, someone who could offer her a glimpse of the world beyond her wildest imagination. And as the nights wore on, Sophia's determination paid off. Amidst the faces she saw, she caught sight of a man who seemed to radiate charisma and charms. With a smile on her lips and a newfound confidence in her step, she made her way over to him, ready to seize the opportunity that lay before her. Well, your designer did a great job in your outfit. It looks so good on you. I couldn't but compliment your appearance. Can I have the contacts of your designer? She asked. The young-looking handsome man smiled and thanked her for the compliment and told her that his designers only sews male outfits. She pretended like she was disappointed, and the young man offered to help out with someone else that sews well. That very moment, they were caught up with each other's company. As they found themselves engrossed in conversations, Sophia effortlessly showcased her knowledge on topics that resonate with him. It was a habit he had inculcated over time to stay informed about various subjects that appealed to men, whether it was sports, current events, or even shared hobby. Sophia made it a point of duty to be well informed in areas that could spark engaging discussion. With each exchange, Sophia revealed layers of her personality, intelligence, articulate, and genuinely curious about the world around her. For him, it was refreshing to meet someone who not only shared his interests but also brought her own unique perspective to the table. As they delved deeper into conversation, it became clear that they shared a natural chemistry, a connection that transcended mere attraction. Sophia cultivated the habit of not staying too long at an event. She begged to take her leave. Eric tried convincing her to wait, so he dropped her saying she wasn't mobile, but she insisted on leaving. They exchanged contacts, promising to keep in touch. Sophia was super excited that she got the number of a very wealthy guy. The next day in church, being Sunday, Sophia sat in the church. Her mind wandered far from the sermon being preached. Instead, her thoughts were consumed by Eric. She couldn't help but offer a silent prayer to the heavens above. She pleaded with all her might, asking for a divine intervention to make Eric fall in love with her. In her mind, she promised unwavering devotion in return, vowing to worship God and praise Him forever, if only her heart desires came to pass. With each passing moment, Sophia's feelings for Eric deepened. The image of his tall, light-skinned and handsome feature consumed her mind. He embodied everything she had always dreamt of in a partner: wealth, charms, physical appearance, name it. Sophia found herself daydreaming about their potential future together, her heart skipping at the mere thought of his affection. She had been expecting his calls since the day they exchanged contacts, but she got no calls from him, up until Monday. During the evening, she got a call from Eric, apologizing for not calling as promised. He explained to her that he had to travel the next day after the party to England for a brief meeting, that he just got back to Nigeria. Sophia understood and told him it's fine. He inquired about how she was faring and asked if they could meet again, and Sophia yielded. After the call, she couldn't shake off the thought of him, his voice, and his wealth. She wondered how rich he could be to travel to England just for a day meeting. She made a loud prayer saying, "God, he's mine. Amen." The next day, their encounter was delightful, marked by deep discussion about their social circle and personal lives. Eric couldn't shake off the impression she left on him during their meeting. Her intelligence captivated him, making him eager to spend more time with her. He found himself drawn to her, wanting to explore the depth of their connection further. As they continued their meeting, their bond grew stronger and stronger, filled with meaningful conversation and shared experiences. Despite his busy schedule, Eric made time for her, realizing that she was becoming an essential part of his life. After a period of nurturing a genuine friendship, Eric finally mustered the courage to ask Sophia the question that has been lingering in his mind: "Will you be my girlfriend?" Sophia was surprised. She had long waited for him to ask. Just as she decided to let go of her expectation, Eric surprised her with his heartfelt proposal. Overwhelmed with joy, Sophia eagerly accepted, knowing that this was the beginning of a beautiful journey together. Eric couldn't contain his happiness. He pulled Sophia into a tight embrace, holding her so close as he gave her a kiss. In that moment, surrounded by the warmth of their love, he made a heartfelt vow to her: "I promise to love you to the moon and back." Sophia was deeply touched by his words. Feeling the sincerity and depth of his affection, she whispered her own vow to him. As they shared a romantic dinner together that night, Sophia's mind buzzed with excitement and disbelief. She felt like she had just hit a jackpot, as if all her prayers had finally been answered. The prospect of being in a relationship with a wealthy man filled her with mixed emotions: gratitude, anticipation, and a hint of nervousness. She couldn't shake off the feelings that her life was about to change in ways she had never imagined. After the dinner, Eric dropped Sophia off at her place, exchanging tender goodnight kisses before parting ways. As she watched him drive off, Sophia couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder at the turn of her life. She knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with possibilities and opportunities she had always dreamt of. With a grateful heart and a newfound sense of hope, Sophia stepped into her home, ready to embrace the future with open arms. As their relationship deepened, she found herself swept away by a whirlwind of extravagant experience. From lavish dinner dates to exclusive restaurants to shopping spree and glamorous events, Sophia was living a life she had always dreamt of, the La Vida Local lifestyle, traveling to exotic destinations on romantic vacations. However, amidst this glamour, Sophia harbored a secret that she kept hidden from Eric, her humble background. She carefully crafted a facade of comfort and privilege. She carefully guided their discussions away from subjects that could uncover her family's financial challenges. Whenever the subject arose, she would tactfully deviate, expressing gratitude for her father's guidance and leaving it at that. With each passing day, Sophia grew increasingly apprehensive about the prospect of Eric discovering her true identity, fearing that it might jeopardize her relationship with him. Yet, she couldn't shake off the guilt that gnawed at her conscience, knowing that she kept such a thing from her boyfriend. Due to the kind of life and class Sophie exuded, Eric formed the impression that she came from a comfortable family. Her careful avoidance of discussing her financial struggle led Eric to believe that she was accustomed to a life of comfort and privilege. Unaware of the reality behind Sophia's facade, Eric continued to shower her with luxury and extravagant items. As their relationship deepened, Sophia was filled with guilt, fearing the inevitable moments when Eric would discover the truth about her humble background. Eric was undoubtedly caring and attentive in many ways. Sophia found herself wishing for a partner who was more proactive in understanding her needs and desires without having to spell them out every time. Eric's principal stance on not giving money unless asked stemmed from his belief that offering financial assistance without soliciting could be construed as an insult, particularly to those who were financially stable, except the poor, of course. This attitude extended to his relationship, where he never hesitated to provide her with every luxury and comfort imaginable except money. Eric viewed Sophia, a working class woman who never requested money from him, as independent and self-sufficient. He interpreted her silence of financial matters as a sign of contentment and financial stability. In his eyes, her reluctance to ask him for money signaled that she was doing just fine on her own, without needing any financial support from him. He believed that if there was anything she needed, she would communicate with him, but Sophia believed he should give without asking. She appreciated his generosity and the lavish lifestyle he provided, but the simple truth was, amidst all the luxury, what she truly needed was money. As time passed, Sophia became so absorbed in her work. It was all assignments and projects. Eric noticed the changes. Sophia seemed too preoccupied to spend time with him. Despite his understanding of her commitment to her job, he still couldn't shake off the worry. He always wanted to have her full attention. Even when Sophia visited him on weekends, her attention was often divided, shifting from one work-related task to another. Eric was the CEO of his company, a very hardworking and busy man, but amidst his busy schedules, he always created time for Sophia. But this time around, it was different because he had to travel on a business trip to South Africa that would take him out for 2 months. Sophia couldn't bear staying away from Eric for such a long period of time. She had grown fond of his presence, finding comfort in simply knowing he was nearby, even amidst their busy lives. The 2 months without Eric felt like 2 years to her. In the night of the second day, Eric suggested that Sophia stays in his house for the period he would be away. That way she wouldn't feel his absence so much and they would communicate every day. He asked that her driver drops her every day at work and brings her back and take her to wherever she wants to go. Sophia was happy about it but still couldn't bear staying away from him for long. The day reached and Eric traveled to South Africa. No single day passed without them communicating. Sophia's routine became a simple rhythm of work and home, with Eric's thoughtful arrangements ensuring that she had a smooth journey between the two. As the month drew to a close, Sophia found herself able to send home a substantial amount of money. Their joy and gratitude overflowed, showering her with praises for her generosity. Witnessing their happiness brought her immense joy. She yearned for nothing more than to provide for her family a life free from financial worries. She was able to save such an amount of money due to the lack of major expenses in her life. Her transportations and meals were taken care of by Eric Provisions. She found herself able to save extra funds to support her family. The stocked kitchen and the convenience of Eric's driver allowed her to focus her resources on what truly mattered, supporting her family and ensuring their well being. One fateful day, Sophia took a walk round the neighborhood. She was amazed by the grand mansions and fancy cars, feeling lucky to be surrounded by wealth compared to where she was coming from. It made her appreciate how much her life had changed. After returning home and freshening up, Sophia had some rest. It was weekend already. She needed a companion and reached out to her friend, Deborah, hoping to pay her a visit. But to her disappointment, Deborah was out of town. She had traveled to the east to visit her parents. Sophia felt so lonely. She wanted someone to talk to. She decided to leave the house and go somewhere nice. Staying in Eric's big mansion all alone was so boring. She wanted to go out and have fun, just as Eric would always take her out. That evening, Sophia decided to hang out. She was looking so stunning and attractive. She treated herself to a visit to one of the Lagos' prestigious five-star hotel lounge, a place that she and Eric often visit. It was right there she crossed paths with Lucky, a charming and handsome young man who struck up a conversation with her. She was intrigued by his charisma and welcomed him nicely. As they spent the time together, Sophia discovered that Lucky was a very funny guy. He effortlessly lightened her mood, making her forget her worries. She found herself drawn to his infectious laughter and engaging conversations, feeling a sense of joy in his presence. As the night progressed, Sophia eventually decided it was time to leave. Before parting ways, the both exchanged contact. While Eric was in South Africa, Sophie would always update him on all her day-to-day activities. But this time around, she decided to keep Lucky's gist to herself, knowing how jealous he could be. Days passed, Lucky and Sophia started communicating. They enjoyed conversations with each other and sometimes hung out during their free times. From conversations that they had, Sophia found out that Lucky was a jack of all trades. He was a tech guy, he runs a transportation business and also an MC. She was quite impressed with all those skills he had. They discussed on how he was able to manage everything he does. Sophia found Lucky super interesting and fun to be with. She was so happy that she had another friend that she enjoyed being with aside from Deborah. Eric and Sophia had just finished talking to each other on phone when Lucky's call came in. Lucky inquired on where she lives so he could come visit her, but Sophia didn't tell. She respected her boyfriend so much that she didn't want to bring a man to his house. She decided to know where he lives and go visit him instead. Super excited was Lucky to see Sophia. He prepared a delicious meal for her and made sure that his house was in order. When she eventually came to visit him, she was impressed with his decent, good-looking apartment. They both ate together and she offered him compliments on his good cooking skills, after which they started up a discussion. Lucky couldn't get his eyes off Sophia. His heart was pounding as he had imagined kissing her. He thought of how she would react. He didn't want to jeopardize their beautiful friendship. He had to open up on his feelings to her. Sophia was shocked on hearing that. She didn't see that coming. She saw him as a very good friend and nothing more. In order not to make him feel bad, she replied saying, "I'm not ready for a relationship, not anytime soon." Lucky asked the reason and Sophie replied, "Personal reasons." Without stressing, Lucky told her that he would wait for her until she is ready to be in a relationship no matter how long it would take. At this point, Sophia was confused. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to turn him down and lose her friendship with him. But her relationship with Eric mattered a lot to her as she loves him so much. She went home, thought of it, and asked herself if she was wrong for not telling the truth. She decided within herself that it's best she stays away from him, that way he would forget about her. On a very hectic day at work, Sophia received a distressing call from home about her father's deteriorating health and urgent need for medications and surgery funds. The news shook her to the core, making it difficult to focus on work as she anxiously waited to the end of the day to speak with her mom. Upon arriving home, she immediately reached out to her mother. Their conversation weighed heavily on her heart as they discussed her father's condition. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she started saving for her father's surgery and medications silently without confiding in Eric. Eric was done with his contract in South Africa. It was time for him to fly back to Nigeria to meet the love of his life. He was super excited and couldn't wait to see Sophia. When he eventually landed Nigeria, Sophia was so happy to see him, she jumped on him and hugged him tight, not wanting to leave him. The 2 months apart they had only deepened their affection for each other. Like they say, absence makes the heart go fonder. Sophia took a 3-day sick leave from work just to spend time with Eric. As the day passed, Sophia found herself consumed by her father's worsening condition, struggling with the internal struggle of whether to confide in Eric or not. Various ideas crossed her mind, tempting her to consider dishonest options like taking Eric's money without his knowledge or fabricating a story about being robbed to explain her sudden need for funds. She immediately pushed those unethical thoughts aside and thought of a more honorable solution to finance her father's surgery. It was already the month of May, Eric's birth month. Sophia found herself pondering what gifts to gift him, while simultaneously wrestling with the financial burden of her father's surgery. Despite the overwhelming expenses, she couldn't bear the thought of not gifting Eric a present. Determined to find a way, Sophia began strategizing and budgeting to ensure that she could still make Eric's birthday special amidst the pressing need to fund her father's medical treatment. It had become a tradition to Eric to visit the motherless baby's home every year of his birthday to donate to those in need. Sophia accompanied him to the motherless baby's home and as well a center for the physical challenge. Witnessing firsthand Eric's compassionate nature, she couldn't help but feel a swell of pride in him, recognizing this admirable aspect of his character. It was also the first time she had seen him give such a substantial amount of money, both through transfer and in cash. The sheer magnitude of his generosity struck her deeply, especially when she considered the sum of money he gave out enough to foot her father's medical bills. When they returned home that evening, Sophia couldn't shake off the weight of her realization. She couldn't help but blame herself for not having the courage to ask Eric for help, despite knowing he was more than willing to provide for her. On the night of Eric's birthday, when they were having a good time, Sophia's phone kept on ringing but decided to ignore it because Eric was with her and she didn't want to leave his presence to go pick the call so he wouldn't suspect anything. Rather, she gave excuses that it's her brother calling and she's not ready for his long talks. The next day, Sophia decided to take away her pride and seek financial assistance from Lucky. On that fateful day, she reached out to Lucky for financial assistance, telling him the situation surrounding her father's health and the amount needed for the surgery. Lucky felt so sad for her, regretting that he couldn't help out with the amount she needed for her father's surgery. He told her that he had already invested a huge sum of money in a business and could only spare 200,000 naira. Sophia appreciated his concern and effort and appreciated the amount he could offer, though it fell far short of what she needed to alleviate her father's medical crisis. After spending a week in Eric's house, Sophia decided to go back home to her house, where she would be free to take calls and make calls. Eric didn't want her to go, but she insisted on going back home so they won't be distracted by each other's presence, since they had a lot of work to do. That was her excuse. Alone in her house, Sophia did a lot of thinking. Her friend Deborah was unable to provide her financial assistance, and asking her colleague was out of the question. Sophia's thoughts turned towards something: selling the luxury items that Eric gifted her. She understood the values of the possession, but she reasoned that selling them could potentially yield a substantial amount of money for her father's surgery and would still have enough money left. Despite the emotional attachment she held to the gifts, Sophia understood that desperate times called for desperate measures. She started selling her things and she was able to raise half of the money needed for the surgery and sent home while trying to gather the rest of the money. While battling with those, one of the younger sisters texted her on WhatsApp about her final year project fees, telling her that they have deadlines to pay up their project fee, if not they won't participate. Sophia, who was chatting with Eric, became frustrated on seeing the message her sister sent to her, and she started pouring out her frustration at her by making a voice record. She said, "I am feeling overwhelmed right now. The weight of our family's financial burden is crushing me, and I'm the only one footing the bills, paying your school fees, Deborah's school fees, and even taking care of our family basic need because mom's salary barely covers anything. And that illness has only added to our expenses. Now, on top of all that, I am scrabbling to gather 1.8 million naira for that surgery, not even including his ongoing medication cost. I am stressed out. I'm the only one putting food on the table, paying bills, covering rents, and making sure we all get to where we need to be every day. It is too much for me to handle alone. I've had to sell off almost everything Eric got me just to raise money for father's surgery. At this point, I'm afraid you might have to consider pausing your education because there simply isn't any money left. You will need to find a way to support yourself. Right now, I can't handle any more financial stress. I don't even have enough money to buy a gift for Eric, and you're here talking to me about school projects. Please, it's best we focus on the thing that is more important right now, the pressing need, which is that surgery. Whew. In a moment of intense frustration, Sophia poured out her heart, unaware that the message had been mistakenly sent to Eric. When she realized her mistake, she panicked and her heart began to race. She immediately deleted the voice record. However, it was too late. Eric had already listened to it. Sophia's anxiety heightened as she waited for his response, but none came in. Eric, who had just listened to the voice record, was dumbfounded. He immediately rushed over to Sophie's house, demanding an explanation about the voice note he had received. Sophia was scared, but she had no choice but to come out clean and reveal the truth. As she opened up on her struggles, Eric's heart sank with a mixture of hurt, betrayal, and a sense of being kept in the dark. He couldn't fathom how his girlfriend had endured so much in silence while he remained oblivious. He felt so disappointed. Eric stormed out of her house with his heavy heart. Sophia became so scared that she had already damaged her relationship. She rushed to his house, pleading for forgiveness and tears streaming down her cheek. Eric remained distant, his wounded pride and sense of betrayal still hurts. However, instead of him dwelling on the discord, he suggested that they travel to her hometown the next day to see her family. Eric willingly and single-handedly foot all the bills and made provisions for a better home for Sophia's family. They rebuilt their relationship on the foundation of honesty and mutual support. Eric became a source of blessing to Sophia's family as he changed their lives for good. Thank you so very much, guys, for listening. The essence of the story is to underscore the crucial importance of communication in relationship. It emphasizes that genuine love transcends social barriers and material wealth, embracing both the rich and the poor without discrimination. This story advocates for authenticity and transparency between partners, urging them to be true to themselves and each other by fostering open and honest communication. True love emerges as a guiding force that navigates couples through life challenges and strengthens their bond. The story champions the belief that love rooted in sincerity and understanding will always prevail, guiding partners towards a harmonious and fulfilling relationship. Thank you so very much, guys. Please do also like the video, subscribe to Substance TV, share the video. See you guys in my next video. Until then, stay splendid.